Welcome to the deep dive. You know that flash of yellow in your lawn? The one you've probably, well, maybe considered the enemy at some point? Today, we're zeroing in on it. The humble dandelion. But hold on. Before you think about weed spray.
Yeah, get ready for a whole different perspective.
Exactly. It's all thanks to some really fascinating work by Kesser and Steen from their Nature and Innovation assignment.
That's right. They took a proper look at these plants, the ones often just dismissed, thriving in a wilder bit of a garden.
And their findings really challenge our usual thinking, don't they?
They absolutely do. They've been digging into why these bright yellow flowers, the target of so much gardening frustration. Kesser even mentioned that common feeling, damn dandelion.
Right.
Why they're actually, well, remarkably beneficial. And they also looked into some pretty surprising ways we might use them around the house.
Okay, so that's our deep dive today. We're unpacking Kesser and Steen's research to really get a grip on the ecological importance they found.
And those household uses, too.
Yeah, and the household uses they mentioned. Our mission, really, is to understand why they're saying, maybe pause before we try and get rid of every single one.
Well, what's really eye-opening is their central argument. Kesser and Steen are basically saying dandelions aren't garden enemies at all.
Okay.
Instead, they're vital contributors to a thriving, diverse ecosystem right there outside our windows.
Right, okay. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of that ecological importance then. What makes these, so-called weeds such key players?
Well, one of the most critical roles, according to their work, is as an essential early food source for pollinators.
Ah, okay, early food.
Think about the very start of spring. When solitary bees, bumblebees, hoverflies, beetles, butterflies, they're all just waking up from winter.
Right, emerging from hibernation.
Exactly. And what's often the very first splash of color, the first easily available nectar?
Dandelions.
Dandelions. You could almost think of them as like a first aid kit for insects struggling after a tough winter.
That's a powerful image.
And it directly impacts their ability to, pollinate our crops later on.
That's a crucial point, especially when you think how many gardens or urban areas even lack those diverse early bloomers. They really are often first on the scene.
Yes, among the very first. So by offering this early feast, they're directly supporting the survival of these, well, incredibly important insects.
Makes sense.
And their research really highlights that this early food access is fundamental for supporting a wide range of insect life.
Okay.
And it's not just insects either. They also found that various bird species feed on dandelion seeds.
Oh, interesting. So it helps the birds too.
Yeah, further enriching the biodiversity, the local bird populations.
So it's like a ripple effect of benefits then. Not just about the yellow flowers.
Precisely.
Now, Kesser and Steen also talked about dandelions helping the soil. How does that work?
Yes. This is where those impressive roots come in. The long tap roots.
The really deep ones.
Exactly. They act like little excavators, pulling up minerals from deeper soil layers, bringing them closer to the surface.
Okay.
So when the dandelion eventually, breaks down, these nutrients become more available for other plants nearby.
Oh, right. So they improve the soil for everything else around them.
Yeah, contributing to overall soil health and supporting, well, a greater variety of plant life. They're like nature's little miners, bringing up locked-away resources.
That's a really neat way to think about it. So even when they die back, they're still helping.
Mm-hmm.
And they also touched on this idea of species-rich lawns. Now, that definitely goes against the grain for a lot of people, doesn't it?
It really does. We've sort of been conditioned to want that perfect uniform green carpet, haven't we?
Totally.
But Kesser and Steen argue for the ecological plus points of having lawns with a mix of plant species, dandelions included.
Okay, so variety is good.
Yeah, this diversity, they explain, it fosters a more resilient little ecosystem. It can support a wider range of plants and animals.
So not just grass.
Right. Instead of just one type of grass, a species-rich lawn might have clover, other low-growing things, and yes, dandelions. It makes the whole mini ecosystem more complex, more robust.
So seeing a few dandelions might actually be a sign of a healthier garden.
That's what they suggest, yeah. An indicator of overall health.
Okay, so if we pull all that together, the main message from Kesser and Steen is basically, let's rethink our automatic knee-jerk reaction to dandelions.
Exactly that. Their assignment strongly concludes these plants play a really significant role, often underestimated in our garden ecosystems. And they're crucial contributors to the wider environment, too.
So they really urge us to think twice before removing them.
They do. And they specifically circle back to how vital those flowers are as that early spring food source. For birds and those insects just coming out of winter, the solitary bees, bumblebees, hoverflies, beetles, butterflies.
Right after that long hibernation.
Yes.
And Kesser had that reflection on the damn dandelion thought, didn't they? Suggesting it's actually a good sign.
Yeah, like a sign that the beneficial insects are waking up and heading straight for their first meal.
That's quite a turnaround in perspective.
It is. And they also brought in that interesting point about Denmark's green and brown winter, highlighting just how critical these early food sources can be when spring doesn't arrive all at once.
Like the transition period.
What I found really useful was Steen's practical advice, for people who might be a bit wary of letting dandelions just run wild.
Okay, what did he suggest?
Well, he suggests maybe creating specific areas for them, perhaps planting them with cover crops or other flowers in, less busy parts of the garden.
A dedicated dandelion zone.
Kind of, yeah. And I liked his mowing advice, too, suggesting a more random pattern. Like a drunk, he apparently said.
Huh. Or a modern robot mower.
Or a modern robot mower, exactly. Especially in spring, the key thing is just allowing the insects to actually use the flowers before they get cut down.
That's such a simple but clever idea. Makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm. And it's worth remembering, as they clarify, while there are lots of different dandelion species in Denmark, their main focus here is just on that fundamental role as food for wildlife.
Got it. Okay, so moving on from the ecology, they also looked into more direct uses for us around the home.
They did. Another interesting angle in their work.
Oh, do tell. So beyond being a pollinator pit stop, what else did they find?
Well, Kesser mentioned actually using dandelions in salads. Personal experience.
Really? The leaves?
Seems like it. And apparently, based on info from someone, Kesser, called Oma.
Oma? Like grandma?
Yeah, sounds like it. Apparently, Oma said the roots are edible too. And historically, people even roasted them to use as a coffee substitute.
Wow, dandelion coffee. I've never heard of that. Was that common?
They didn't elaborate much beyond mentioning Oma's info, but it's fascinating, isn't it?
It really is. It just makes you think about how many uses these plants might have if we just stop seeing them only as weeds.
It definitely points to a broader shift,
Yeah.
how we're maybe starting to view these plants differently. Kesser and Steen touch on that.
How so?
Well, how more people are starting to think about the needs of butterflies and, importantly, wild bees.
Not just honeybees.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Moving beyond just honeybees, which, as they point out, are basically domesticated animals often living on sugar water we provide.
Right. They're managed livestock in a way.
Pretty much. The focus is shifting towards recognizing the vital role of wild bees, and their importance goes way beyond just, say, apple harvests. It's about the health of the whole ecosystem.
That's a really key distinction. Wild pollinators.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to sort of wrap this all up, it sounds like Kesser and Steen have built a really strong case for a dandelion rethink.
I'd say so.
They aren't just annoying invaders. They're actually crucial for early spring pollinators. They help birds, they improve the soil, they boost biodiversity.
And surprised, they might even have some uses in the kitchen. Absolutely. Their core message is pretty powerful. Just reconsider that instinct to wipe them out, because they offer real ecological benefits.
This has definitely given me a fresh perspective on those yellow dots in my own lawn, I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really makes you think about how connected everything is, doesn't it?
Mm.
So for everyone listening, maybe consider this. Now you've heard all this. How will you look at the dandelions in your garden this spring? And maybe what other plants we call weeds might actually have hidden benefits we just haven't thought about?
That's a great question to ponder.
It's a good reminder, I think, that sometimes the most valuable things are hiding in plain sight.